Hey Bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and before we dive into today's recipe, I wanted to say that today is the day that my book starts shipping out of the running presses warehouses in Philadelphia. So it's already out in Australia and the UK, but from this point on, it can start arriving in North American bookshops and at Amazon warehouses and stuff, and pre-orders can start shipping out. And yeah, I haven't seen it on a bookshelf yet in person, so I am really excited for this to start appearing in shopping malls and booksellers near me and mailboxes, of course. Yeah, so this is my baby, and I hope you love it. And if you haven't ordered yourself a copy yet, you might have a couple days of still sort of pre-orderable, and then it'll just be orderable because it'll be out. So I digress. So today we are making a Coral Kiss lip gloss. It's very easy to make, and it gets its color from a blend of Carmine and gold mica. You could use like a copper or a bronze mica instead. That will slightly shift the color of the end product, of course, but it's also really fun to play with different micas and different pigments. So I mean, like, knock yourself out, you're gonna have a blast. Apologies if it sounds like I have a pet troll in the next room practicing its meditative breathing. That is my furnace. And it is minus 27 degrees outside, so I'm gonna let it keep doing its thing. But if you're hearing this like thing going on in the background, that's it being all like, "You're welcome, Marie, for keeping you warm." So once you have all of your ingredients gathered, making lip gloss is really easy. So it's basically the perfect gift because it's easy and impressive. You'll basically just melt all of your base ingredients together, remove those from the heat, blend in your pigments and essential oils, pour that into your tubes, and you're done. So come on, let's get started. We'll kick things off by measuring our base ingredients into a heat-resistant glass measuring cup. So in here I have 6 grams of unrefined golden beeswax, 6 grams of extra virgin coconut oil, the stuff that smells like pina coladas, 10 grams of castor oil, 16 grams of golden jojoba oil, and you can use meadowfoam seed oil instead. They're very similar. Or you can use the refined, not golden jojoba oil. And 4 grams of lecithin. So this is soy lecithin, but you can absolutely use sunflower lecithin instead. Just make sure you use the liquid stuff. You can buy granulated lecithin, and that stuff is a major pain in the patootie to work with. The liquid stuff is much easier to deal with. And we're also going to add 10 drops of vitamin E. Now I'm going to put that measuring cup in a hot water bath. So this here is a wide flat bottom saute pan that has about 1 inch or 3 centimeters of water in it. And I'm going to go put this on the stovetop over medium-low heat for about half an hour to melt everything through. So about half an hour later, everything is melted through, so you can remove that and set our water bath aside. Make sure you do give this a stir while it's still on the heat, because even though the soy lecithin is oil soluble, it does sort of like to hang out down at the bottom in a little bit of its own globby company. So you got to give it a stir so that it will incorporate. So we're going to add some Carmine and some gold mica to this lip gloss to make it all pretty and colorful. If you don't have Carmine, you can use FD&C red number 7 for a very similar color effect, or you can use red iron oxide for more of a brick color. But you can see that this is about the color that you'll get, which is sort of obviously a much browner tone, not very Snow Whitey. So we're going to use a set of these tiny little measuring spoons. These are a set from Fox Run that measure 1/8 of a teaspoon, 1/16, 1/32, and 1/64. And I absolutely love these things and use them all the time. So we're going to be doing 1/16 of a teaspoon of Carmine. And if you have the liquid stuff that's pre-dispersed in oil, you can use that instead. But I would use more, maybe 50% more, to account for the fact that it is diluted. So you have this a stir, and you want to grab your spatula and smear any bits of Carmine that you catch up against the side and the bottom to help break up any clumps and blend it in. You can also, with these spatulas especially, you can really smoosh them against the bottom of your measuring cup, kind of like that, and that will help streak the clumps of pigment across the bottom of the measuring cup and break them up. We're also going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is this bad boy here, of gold mica. Now we're going to add some Peppermint Essential Oil. So 8 to 10 drops works pretty well for this recipe. So I'm going to set the dishcloth aside now because now we want this to start to cool so that we can move it to our containers. So I have a couple different container options here. So I have some little squeezy tubes, and I have a hard tube that comes with a wand. So you can sort of use either. You can also use a wide pot, but I'm really not a huge fan of those. They're just really hard to use, and you get like a really kind of gloppy finger whenever you apply them. So I find you just don't tend to wear your lip gloss very much, and then that's kind of a waste. All right, just about 4. So you'll notice there's a little bit of leftover pigment down there. I'm gonna just smoosh that in and then see if I can add that to that last tube. You do want to make sure that you're breaking it up before you add it though, otherwise you'll have a little gritty bits in your last tube. All right, so the reason I put so many of these tubes in here is not because I thought I'd use them, but because it helps hold them upright, which I thought was rather clever. So now we're just going to leave those to set up a bit, and then we can put in the orifice reducers and the lids. I'm just going to wait till they set up so that the chances of spilling are a little lower. While we let that set up, I wanted to do a little swatch test to show you the difference in color of using Carmine versus iron oxide. So this here is the Carmine, and this is the iron oxide. You can see that they are really very, very different colors. This one is a much brighter, sort of prettier pink, whereas this one is quite a bit browner. And of course the opacity levels are a bit different because this was a higher pigmentation concentration, but yeah, you can see the colors are really different. So if you want this beautiful bright hue, you really got to use Carmine or FD&C Red No. 7 because the red iron oxide, it's a different color despite the fact that it still has red in the name. Now that these have had a chance to set up a little bit, we can pop in the little orifice reducers, which are these little, the thing that makes it really look like a tube of lip gloss, and our lids. And be careful not to squeeze too hard when you put the orifice reducer in, or you'll squeeze lip gloss right out of the tube. I found it's best to put the tube in your hand and let it press against, the bottom of your hand rather than squeezing the tube to get your grip. So, push down, lid. There we go. Probably should have wiped this one off. Oh well, I guess this one will be mine and the rest will be gifts. You can give them a little squeezy, squeezy. Boop, boop, boop. And there you go, you just made some Coral Kiss lip gloss. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and check the description box below for the full written recipe in both metric and imperial and links to everything I used in this video. See you next time!